Thank you, everybody. Great round of applause. Appreciate you very much. So we're here, SpeakuP Monday, episode 458, here in the garden of Tropical Nomad. Oki's been a few times, and he's like, where it's changed position? It's like, yes. So we've moved 7 times in about 280 episodes here. So we're here in the garden, which I think, being that it's Bali Ocean Days and about nature, I think it's a great place to be is in the garden, right? So tonight is a preview for Bali Ocean Days. And as you know, Bali Ocean Days is an event created in partnership with the former Coordinating Ministry of Marine and Investment Affairs, and obviously Archipelago Island States Forum. It's organized by Sky Blue Sea Foundation and Dharma One and Associates, sponsored by PT Pertamina Persero, featuring its new and renewable energy subholding. And we've got the media group as an official media partner through Metro TV, Media Indonesia, and Medcom.id. So as many of you know, this will happen in the Intercontinental in Bali, February. It's going to be 7th and 8th, 2 days. 2-day conference, all things important to do with the ocean. International guests, which are phenomenal. And obviously those who live here in Bali, we have 2 such wonderful people tonight that we'll get into in a minute. And you know what I think I'll do? I'll introduce them this time. There you go. Turn over the page. There you go. So let's go for Andrew Taylor first. So Andrew is a marine biologist who grew up in Asia and Canada with a formal education in tropical marine ecology, environmental science, and adventure tourism. And having worked for several years as a commercial diver and a marine habitat biologist in Canada, he co-founded Blue Corner Dive in Nusa Lembongan, Bali, we know what that is, in 2011. And in the following years, Blue Ocean Corner expanded to include additional dives in centers in Indonesia, Nusa Penida, and Menjangan. You see, my pronunciation still needs work. I don't mind that. And conservation organization. Andrew also holds an associate professor position at Vancouver Island University. And a little bit more about Blue Corner Marine Research is a conservation organization focusing on environmental education, coral reef restoration, and Andrew founded the organization and has developed a unique curriculum in marine biology training, complete with textbooks, presentations, and teaching materials in the following modules. We're about halfway through. Scientific diving, coral reef ecology, reef health monitoring, coral restoration, and marine megafauna. Take a breath. Yeah. Brother Andrew, welcome. And Oki's is twice as long as yours.
Well, thanks for inviting me on.
You're welcome, brother. So Oki Sabaggio, brother, is a distinguished leader recognized for his business acumen and unwavering commitment to ESG-focused investments. As a founding member of Bali Investment Club and a founding partner of Sabaggio and Partners, he adeptly bridges the realms of profitability and sustainability, championing transformative projects in hospitality and lifestyle sectors. Renowned for his strategic vision and dedication to meaningful impact, Oki serves as a trusted advisor and driving force behind sustainable growth in Indonesia and beyond. Round of applause again for these wonderful people here. Woo. My introduction will come later. So look, we're here now, again, Bali Ocean Days, second year. And as we mentioned before, Intercontinental Bali, February 7th and 8th. And by the way, if you're not going, you should go. Most tickets have already sold out, but there's still some tickets left. So just go to the Bali Ocean Days website or Instagram and you can get them there. But maybe the first question for you, Andrew, and then we'll come to Oki afterwards as you have the microphone in your hand, right? Remember, with these microphones, hold them nice and close to your mouth when when you answer. So maybe the question for you would be, we've heard a little bit about your background and experience, but what actually brought you to this ocean marine ecosystem environment? Like, as a kid, were you destined to be what you are today? Or was it, you tripped and fell into the water, almost died, drowned, and said, you know what, I need to master this ocean thing? Like, how did it happen for you?
Oh, well, I've been, I guess, snorkeling and in the water since I was a little kid. Me and my sister used to chase blacktip reef sharks around snorkeling, and my parents worked in Asia growing up, so they were teachers at international schools, so we were kind of brought up in this area, and I fell in love with the ocean ever since I could walk. And so then as I decided, okay, I want to be a marine biologist when I grow up, then started studying marine biology, and as I was at grad school, my research was in restoration ecology, so restoring marine ecosystems and especially coral reefs, and did some of the thesis research here in Indonesia. And as I was doing that at the dive shops that I was collecting data at and whatnot, all the guests who were coming along at the dive shop, they were like, oh, that looks so cool. We wish we could come out and join you. And it got me thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great if I could actually do this as an experience, provide this experience for people to come and join and see how active research takes place, get people who are on holidays or just the average person to come out and plant corals and join professional biologists underwater so that they can actually help out. So that's where the idea of Blue Corner and sort of the passion came from and the direction that it's been going over the years.
Great summation. Now, we're not finished with you yet.
Okay.
With these microphones, much closer to you. I know, it's weird, but it's how it is. One thing, right? So this show, this is episode 458, right? So, but the three things that underpin it: people inspire people, unity and diversity, entrepreneurship and social impact, right? So there might be some younger people or older people looking at you now saying, well, it sounds like a bike. You can hear we're in Canggu. That's an exhaust modified Canggu version, if you didn't know. So the people here kind of saying, this fella, he looks like he's doing what he loves, right? And creating a living out of it as well, right? Now, the truth may be, Catherine, just over here, darling. Yeah, you're good. The truth may be completely along those lines, or it may have been the toughest journey for you to actually make. But so the question then begs itself is, are you truly doing what you love and getting paid for it? And if that's the case, were there any defining moments to either perspective that come up when you look back over your career and say, you know what, that one there was a defining moment, and it was because it was very, very difficult, or I was faced with something that was very challenging? What comes up for you when I ask that question?
There's been so many defining moments. I think I never really knew exactly what path I was going to take. I always just knew that, I really wanted to work underwater. I wanted to be close to nature. I love coral reefs, and I couldn't just everything. You just get so much bad news about this as being so much destruction here, there. So you just want to be able to do something about it. And so I think the more that you're diving underwater, the more you're seeing sort of destruction and everything, it just drives you further that you have to do something about it. And I guess when I was looking around as to, okay, where do I actually want to set up Blue Corner, or this idea that I had, I'd spent a lot of time in Indonesia and really fell in love with Indonesia. I've been coming and going since I was young. Had lots of friends here. And
younger.
Yes, I'm still young. But there was many different areas of Indonesia that looked promising, but Nusa Lembongan just I had almost given up, actually, thinking, oh, okay, you know what? I traveled around to so many different islands, thinking, okay, I'll find the place that'll be just the perfect place to set up a restoration project, set up a dive shop, that kind of stuff. And I was kind of, I don't know, hadn't really found the perfect place and kind of gave up. And I'm like, well, maybe Mexico or maybe somewhere else. Then I went to Nusa Lembongan, and this was 2010, and I just fell in love with Nusa Lembongan. I'm like, this is it. The diving is beautiful, the reefs are perfect, but there is impact starting to take place. And the longer I spent there, as I set up the company, the diving aspect of it, the ecotourism side of things, there was more and more impacts that were taking place. And each one of those impacts, like there was a big a ferry that ran aground on the reef. There was a couple other cables that fell overboard, anchors dragging. There was a lot of these destructive impacts that took place, and each one of them, I was like, I can do something about this. Like, this is what my training was in grad school. We can set up a plan to actually restore these areas. And so I think, just seeing more and more impacts were those driving forces to be like, okay, well, let's put together a proper restoration plan. Let's actually, let's make this work, and let's figure out how to make it financially doable, right? Like, I love planting coral and I would do it for free, but like, I also need to eat. And so how do we actually create a business model that people will pay for an experience, and we create a good enough experience that they're willing to see value in that, to go out and take part in a restoration project. And it's not just pretty planting coral, but actually is part of a scientific project that, like, where we're restoring the reef, not just taking photos.
Man, thank you, my brother. We're going to come back to you, but if you pass that mic to our brother Oki.
Yes.
Now, Oki's been on the show a couple of times, I think 3 or 4. Call him alumni Oki, right? And look,
I just live down the street, so it's a walk in the distance.
It's like, Oki flew in from Jakarta. It's like, Rob, I walked from next door. Come on, man. So look, Bali Investment Club, doing incredible things. And I know you're going to explain a little bit more about it. But my question to you, which I think will be interesting for other people to know, you come with this phenomenal set of skills, right, and aptitudes. Because I know you personally, that I see. Part of it is being able to see the solution to obstacles that companies are facing in multiple industries, and you've had a very successful career in finding what those solutions are and turning them around, right? Is one. Another one is you've been able to pick companies which are on the verge, of breakout success, but obviously they're in need of funding in that early stage, and you've been able to recruit those companies, to find those companies and help them develop as well. And maybe a third thing that I know you're good at is that, we won't go into the details, but there was a mutual friend who had some very big challenges, and then you were able to kind of dig into your media connection strategy, to basically find a way to turn that situation around, which I don't see many other people could have been able to do that. And this was utilizing a network you had in Jakarta, being, about media, about PR, about lobbying government. There's so many things here. So the question that I have for you then is, being an Indonesian, a man that we've had this great conversation about how foreigners can find better ways to adapt to the Indonesian environment, right? Being an Indonesian, being that you spent years overseas, being that you understand the Western mindset as well as the Eastern, which or what defining moment or moments in your early career that led you to believe, what? I think I might have a career in that. What would they be? Yeah.
Well, I've been living in Bali for 12 years. I think I interacted with so many expats here in Bali, and I've seen so many of them are struggling, surviving on realizing their dreams or their plans or their businesses, and there are so many obstacles that they're facing. And living in the States for quite some time is kind of like, guys, this is not how you do it, because many of the foreigners, when they come to Bali, for example, they're still bringing their mindset from their hometown, and when you arrive in Bali, the value systems are very different, we're not very how do I say it, commercial. You know, like the people here are very gotong royong, for example. Those are some of the values that we don't have when you live in the States.
It's all about me, not we.
Exactly, yeah. So and that's like sort of like a basic thing, right? So, and many of our friends they're not really into that. I mean, maybe they're here not too long ago. They just arrived, so they haven't really learned. And so then like one thing led to another, just naturally, be like helping a lot of people solving their problems. It's like then I do it on a commercial basis, like because some of the projects are actually large and it's not just a small startup, it's like millions of dollars kind of project, and get stuck because of these very simple issues of not understanding the cultural interaction that they should exercise.
And look, so let's talk about the ocean, right? So directing it there. So which projects, as we kind of move into Bali Ocean Days, year number 2, right? So which ocean-related projects do you think right now that you have in your ecosystem? Thank you very much indeed. Looking for that word. Thanks a lot. In your ecosystem that are relevant now in terms of what's the problem and how do they solve it?
Okay. Bali Investment Club, it's an early stage impact investment company. We are arguably one of the largest in the country right now for impact focus investment company. And we focus on 3 sectors: waste recovery, carbon reduction, and poverty alleviation. As we're all very aware, waste is a very big problem not only in Bali, it's actually around the world, but Bali as a tourism destination, we get a lot of exposure because tourists goes to the beach and they found oceans of plastics cups on the beach in Kedonganan, for example, 2-3 weeks ago, right? And these are these things happens at the peak of the holiday seasons. So people goes to the beach. So instead of seeing something beautiful, they see oceans of garbage. So garbage is one of the very big, plastic, especially plastic, is one of the very big problems that we have. In Bali Investment Club, we have received more than 400 impact startup applications coming into our company since we formed the company in 2021. We have reviewed more than 400, and then we have an event called Angels and Founders. It's a bit like Shark Tank with 300-400 people behind it they make comments after each of the investee companies are pitching. So we sort of like getting an input from public, a little bit like a focus discussion group. And then later on we invest in a company. So we have featured more than 100 companies at our Angel and Founders event. The event used to be in Bali, but I think we nailed all the Bali startup, impact startup companies.
Go to Jakarta. Go to Jakarta.
Now we do it in Jakarta every other month. So because because 400 is a big number. I mean, for impact startups, right?
And just to clarify one thing. So you're about early stage, not startups.
Yeah, early stage. Early stage meaning we invest in these three area: waste recovery, carbon reduction, and poverty. And the company has to have revenue, so the business model has already run, and then there is path to profitability. So they can lose money at the moment, but when you inject some more capital to scale up, then at the end of the tunnel, you will see some lights. That's basically the positioning that we have. So one of the company that we invested is a waste management company. It's called Recosystem.
Yeah, it's great.
They are also, by the way, participating at Bali Ocean Days. They're opening a booth. So please come to Bali Ocean Days, February 7th to 8th.
7th and 8th, Bali Ocean Days website. Tickets are available.
Yes.
Most of the tickets have sold out already, but there's some left, but you need to hurry.
Yes. So Recosystem will be opening a booth there and featuring what they do with their waste management, and they're putting in technology, and they're empowering the waste pickers people, and like so much going on. We invested in Recosystem. It was, I think, the second company that we invested in 2021, if it's not 2022.
Yeah.
We invested in the company about 10 billion rupiah back then, at maybe company valuation about $3 million when we invested. Now the company has 42-folded their revenue. It was the revenue.
So 42-fold.
Yeah. So, and then valuation now is like maybe in the $30-ish million kind of thing. So many X's. And now they are raising Series B. Yeah. At the moment, I think this year they're gonna do a Series B raising. We did already a Series A. So relating to Bali Ocean Days, I think it's very important that we take care of our waste before they go into the ocean, because that is the problem. So Recosystem is actually working with a sort of like a residential complex or residential area, or CBDs, Central Business District, and they work together with these guys, and they manage the waste within that area. So they're making money by being paid by a certain complex, like residential complex or business complex. They take their waste and they bring it to the recycling centers. They process the waste, and they actually make money selling the waste as well, because some of the waste are in the form of metal, for example. So they're selling it into the metal market. We also have a company called Indosol, which is a sandal company. I didn't wear one today. Indosol makes footwear from recycled tires. Yeah. So the idea was Recosystem will collect some of the waste, and some of them would be tires, and they will send it to Indosol to process to become footwear. Yeah. We also have an investment in a company called Magalarva, which is maggot farming. And these maggots, they're actually their feedstock. They actually eat organic stuff. So when Recosystem collects organic waste, after they separate the organic waste with the non-organic waste, they will send the organic waste to Magalarva for Magalarva to feed the maggots. Yeah. Right? So they use the maggots to and process it to become an animal feed for shrimp farming or fish farming. Yeah. The Magalarva business model is also very interesting, because through the maggot, they actually increase the protein content in the food, the animal food by 8 times, while the cost is half, so 16 times more efficient compared to the traditional animal feed product in the market.
That's phenomenal. And I mean, we're going to come back to you, but I just want to quickly go to Andrew again. So with your company, Blue Corner, so what's the problem, and how is your company solving that problem?
So initially, the idea was to provide the opportunity for people to experience and get involved in restoration and conservation. But now we've kind of grown beyond that to how can we actually scale up? How can we actually scale up, and how can we restore more ecosystems, restore more coral reefs? And so that's where we developed the the training program to develop restoration practitioners that people come internationally and train with us, but then also we've started up a scholarship program for Indonesian university students to train with us and become coral restoration practitioners to then go out and start their own coral restoration projects around Indonesia, around the world, so we can kind of scale up the knowledge that way, and then they can sort of look for funding or partnerships with hotels, with however, to start up coral restoration projects in different areas of Indonesia and the world. So I guess the problem of needing to restore these ecosystems started at a small scale and get people involved, and now we're trying to extend and sort of make as big of an impact as we can.
Got it. You know, question, I'm going to do a quick thing in a second. Question for you will be, you know, why did you, and you're going to have about a minute to answer this, I mean, to think about it, right? I'm kind. Most of the time, but I'll ask my wife, different story. Joking. Not joking. So the question will be, right, so why did you decide to join Bali Ocean Days this year? And what is it that you're hoping, intending? What's your idea of what you can not get by joining, but what is it that you can receive, and what is it that you can contribute? Mm-hmm. Right now, you got about a minute. So, just for those of you just tuning in, so we're talking about Bali Ocean Days. It's a 2-day conference, all things about the ocean. The most successful one, I think, here in Indonesia, February 7th and 8th. Now, it's going to be in the Intercontinental in Bali, or Intercontinental Bali. There you go. And tickets of pretty much, I think there's about a quarter of the tickets left. So there's not many left. If you want to think about joining or participating, it's a 2-day event. Feel free. I think there may be 1 or 2 tables left where you can come with a table of 10 of your group. Any of these sorts of questions you can address to me, or better still, go to Bali Ocean Days, either website or Instagram. And just in case you don't know, Bali Ocean Days is an event created in partnership with the former Coordinating Ministry for Marine and Investment Affairs and the Archipelagic, that's an interesting word, isn't it? Archipelagic and Island States Forum, organized by Sky Blue Sea Foundation and Dharmawan and Associates, that people know here, the wonderful Yoka, Dharmawan, and obviously Pascal Philippe. Thank you so much to you too. Just a quick shout out there. And sponsored by PT Pertamina Persero, which again is featuring its new and renewable energy sub-holding. We also have the media group as official media partner, and through Metro TV, Media Indonesia, and Medcom.id. Okay, you had more than a minute. Okay. So the question is, again, just to remind, is that, so why did you decide as a company to join Bali Ocean Days, and what is it that you're intending to maybe receive, and what is it that you're contributing?
All right. Well, one of the main reasons is to showcase the coral restoration work that we are doing, that now after several years our projects have expanded out and to some of the largest in Indonesia, but I was just presenting actually at a restoration conference in Mexico last month, and
I was like, Mexico. See what I mean? We have an amazing Mexican in the audience who's doing an incredible business. We're going to have a chat to him later on, but please say Mexico.
But after that conference, realized that actually our restoration project is one of the largest in the world. And so what we want to move from there is look at how we can partner and expand more and restore more areas, but do it as together with other organizations and maybe businesses that want to work on biodiversity offsets, the sort of the carbon offsetting, biodiversity offsetting, and so that we can sort of fund up and scale up their restoration projects that way. But then also, because as I mentioned earlier, we have the scholarship program for Indonesian university students to train as practitioners for coral restoration, so that we can seek, maybe there's organizations that want to sponsor scholarships for these Indonesian university students to train and become practitioners to help us kind of scale up the efforts.
Can I just stop you there? So biodiversity offsetting. Mm-hmm. It sounds wonderful. What is it? If you could explain a bit closer.
Yeah. Okay. So most people have heard of carbon offsets, and it sounds like that it's a line of work that you guys do. So traditionally, the carbon offsets have been to sort of offset the amount of carbon dioxide or in the atmosphere. So organizations or companies that are maybe polluting, they'll have to compensate or sort of offset for. So anyone's kind of booked a flight on AirAsia or an airline, and then there's the option to offset your carbon footprint. So that has been traditionally reserved for like tree planting and those sort of ecosystems where you can quantitate how much a tree that you plant is going to extract carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. So for coral reefs, coral reefs are a very complex ecosystem. So there's many different species in the ecosystem. So it's a lot harder to actually to measure the amount of carbon or anything. So now biodiversity offsetting is a way of looking at the ecosystem instead of just one chemical in the atmosphere. Let's look at the whole ecosystem. And so how can we restore entire ecosystems rather than just planting one species? And sort of capture the same spirit, exactly, but make it for an ecosystem.
Love it. And one other thing which I'm really happy to hear, right? Because we're here in Indonesia, you and I, not our brother here, but you and I are guests here. My wife's Indonesian, but it doesn't matter, we're guests, right? And this contribution element, I think, is really important. And Oki and I have had many conversations about this in the past, as I'm sure we will do in the future. But what I'd love to hear is that, so you're doing scholarships for Indonesians to join. Can you tell us a little bit more about that program, how it works, and if you need support on that project, and if so, what kind of support do you need? Simply because people watching here, you never know who's watching. It's always better to speak and then be in reception of, right?
Absolutely. So the Coral Restoration Practitioner Training Program sort of has been, we developed that program over the last few years, and so international students and people who are interested in from all over the world have come and start training with us. And so then the course fees that they pay for that, currently we're like, okay, with the profit from that, we're able to provide 1 or 2 Indonesian university students to join that same program, so that the full fee paying students then offset the price of the scholarship. So that's what we've been doing so far, but we want to be able to offer more. And so then if we're able to partner with companies that want to sponsor an Indonesian scholarship, then we're, rather than just offering 2 or 4 a year or so, we can offer maybe 10 or 20 or 100.
You know what? And far be it from me to put anyone on the spot on camera while it's live, but sounds like a Bali Investment Club deal to me.
Shall I pass the mic?
I heard impact. I heard Indonesia. I heard successful business, global. Anyway, just a passing thought. Man, really, really cool. Like, again, like, jibes and jokes aside, it's something which I really feel strongly about, that we have to contribute. You have to contribute something, and it needs to be part of who you are as a person, right? Not just like a greenwashing thing, right? Which you can do, and that's still acceptable and fine. But when it's coming from who you are authentically in your soul and heart as a person, this comes with great power, and it spreads a lot, and people listen, and it's like it's an ever perpetuating circle. You're always impacting more people than you know or than you will ever see, but they see you. So wonderful, man. Really cool. Really, really cool.
Thank you.
Now I'm getting no goosebumps. Okay. Check it out. Now, did I interrupt you? Is there any more that you have to say on that?
No.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right. Pass the mic to our brother Oki. So before we go to the question, so people here in the audience, yes, as you know, so Tropical Nomad, you can come in the audience. Now, the advantage of being in the audience is quite often you find that people are interested in the topic or not, or may not even know what the topic is. I love that, right? But it's okay, lah. But what happens is that there's a synchronicity that happens where, not only up here but also in the audience, that like you end up having a chat to the person next to you because they're doing the same thing that you're doing, or something that you're very much interested in doing as well. So after this, we'll have a quick whip around on the microphone to see what people are doing, because it's interesting how one can support the other. So question for you, Brother Oki, is similar one, is so what brought you to participating, and what is it what is an intention for you going into this incredible event, conference, February 7th and 8th at Intercontinental Bali Ocean Days? What is your intention going into it?
Well, I will be sharing a session that I think it was going to talk about investment in sustainability. Yeah. So I will be sharing a panel with somebody from the World Bank, United Nations, and one of the investment company in Jakarta called BRI Venture, which is one of the big banks in Indonesia. And I would like to share to them the kind of work that Bali Investment Club has done in the last 3-4 years, that it is actually possible for you to invest in a sustainable project, because a lot of time finding that business model is the challenge. I mean, it really triggers me when you said, you really want to plant coral, do restoration, but you also need to eat. So that is the real challenge.
And pay the staff.
And pay the staff, right? Yeah. So basically, the whole system has to be financially sustainable. Not only the business model in terms of the impact and stuff, but financially, it has to make sense. Yeah. So instead of creating a foundation and relying on donors contributing to your cause, you need to find a business model that is financially sounding, so you can scale the model and create bigger impact automatically. So, and that's where Bali Investment Club is coming as a catalyst, as an early investor in that model. So that's the idea. So I would like to be able to share some of the story that we went through with some of our portfolio companies. I'll give you an example, very interesting. Not so long ago, we were in the middle of a pandemic. So there's this guy, he's based in, I think, offices in Seminyak somewhere, or in Sunset Road. He owns a media company. His name is Olaf Purvis. And as nobody's doing a placement on his media because it's pandemic, there's no business. So basically they make zero revenue. So everybody's home, and so he got an idea. So all the restaurants are closed because of the pandemic. All the hotels are closed. Yeah. So all these chefs, all these cooks from the restaurants and the hotel are at home. And people still need to eat, and not everybody can cook, right?
I can't cook.
Yeah, exactly.
My kids remind me all the time. Whenever I have to look after the kids, they cry.
So yeah, exactly. Go food, right? So the idea was, his idea was, why didn't we create like an app, just like Go Food, but instead of restaurant, this is mom and pops cooking at home. So he pitched the idea to us, but no revenue. Remember, one of the requirements that we have, you have to have revenue before we can invest. So it's like, okay, we like the idea. I think it's really relevant with what's going on at that time. It was a pandemic, so people can be at home and just ordering food from this platform, and it actually empowers the moms, because 90% of our merchants are female, all the moms at home cooking. So it's empower the women, so they have more income and they have a bit more quote-unquote bargaining position in the house, has a bit more say. And then it actually also helps the household to become a bit more resilient, because it was pandemic, nobody got nothing at that time. So about 6 months later, he came to us with about $5,000 a month revenue, and about 70 merchants, 70 moms cooking. So we see the model works, the application is still very simple, but it works. Like there's revenue going. It's like, okay, we're very interested. Let's invest in this guy. So we invested, I think, about $350,000 into the company. Boom. And then fast forward, that was 2021 or 2022, early 2022. So that was like 3 years ago. Now they have 5,000 merchants, 4,000 or 5,000 merchants. Last year, 2024, they did $5 million sales. $5 million. We have about more than 30,000 or 40,000 products online on, like the babi guling, Indomie, everything, pisang goreng. So you can order. The difference between Bukapeo and GoFood, you order today, cut-off time 6 p.m., delivery tomorrow. So it gives the opportunity for these moms to go to the market, purchase things according to the order. So there's no food waste like in the restaurants, like at night you have so many food waste, da-da-da-da. And the cash flow is also very simple. I mean, it's a daily cash flow. So from $5,000 a month to now $5 million a year. So I'm very proud. I mean,
that's a great story.
Exactly.
I remember all that. I
would like to inspire people and the investors that this type of investments are possible.
Yeah.
So that's and we are empowering so many women. We're also empowering people who are hungry, who wants to get a real home cooking, babi guling or gado, whatever, right?
Babi guling. I saw a few eyes like it was like. We know who you're talking to.
So these are some of the stories that I would like to share at the Bali Ocean Days among to all these potential investors.
One question that popped up. By the way, just a quick show of hands. Who here loves the ocean? Just yeah. Raise your hands, people. Everyone's doing this one. Put your hand up. You love the ocean? Put your hand up. Yeah. You're like. I don't know if I love the ocean. I think the ocean loves me. I don't know. Okay, cool. All right, just seeing who here is on board with ocean thing. All right, we're on board. Question. So 2 of you have been around business for a while, right? And conferences I think are really important, right? Because they play an important role. And as you mentioned, Oki, in this one, you have some of the top ministers in Indonesia coming to speak at this conference. You have some of the top bodies, organizations in the whole of the oceanic or the ocean movement, right? I mean, even the ship, right?
Yeah. Ocean X.
Ocean X, the most advanced ship of its kind when it comes to investigation, when it comes to assessing the research potential of the oceans around the world, is going to be here, right? So you really have some of the top professionals in the world coming in. 2 days, again, February 7th and 8th. If you haven't got your ticket, you got to get it. So the question is this, right? So we've been to a lot of conferences. Maybe pass my friend to Andrew. So what is it that conferences like this often miss? Right? I'll give you a little bit of a push, right? And that means that, for example, what I find with some conferences is that people come, they talk, it's inspiring, woohoo, right? And everyone's up. But then where's the follow-up, right? And then maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks later, there's no follow-up. So then it's been a nice time to meet people and network, but nothing has come out as a result of it. So then my question to you both, Oki has a bit more time to think, he's lucky today, is so like what would you like to see from, let's say, your 2 months, a month to 6 weeks after this beautiful event, right, Intercontinental Bali? When you look back on those 6 weeks, you're going to say, I'm so happy because they got this right. What would this right be, do you think?
Yeah, that's a hard one because for me personally, the probably the best conference I was ever at was one that was a complete flop. That we thought, oh, we're going to do so well. We're going to have all this sort of like exposure and whatnot. And the shell scheme and everything was only half built by by the end day. And so but from that conference, it was the other exhibitors that were just like, well, okay, well, let's just go out and let's go have a meal together. Let's do this together, and we just chat away and sit around and chat. And from that, we probably actually got the most number of referrals and people sending us like guests and talking about it. Because we spent the whole conference just talking to the other people who were exhibitors, and now we're still friends. And so we went into that conference thinking, okay, like we had these expectations, which were completely not met, but what we walked away with was what we couldn't have even imagined, because like if you look at the conference, it was a complete flop. But the networking opportunity. So maybe that's something to, maybe that's what's needed in these conferences, is just the opportunity to like become friends with the other exhibitors and like find out their life stories. And then that's what is in long term, because you forget the business cards of the people you meet, but you'll remember the stories you had and like sitting down and having a meal together.
Great one. Thank you. If you pass that to Oki, and then just before Oki answers, if you have any questions in about 2 minutes, 5 minutes or so, raise your hand and that third mic will come to you. Remember, when it does, microphone closer to your mouth than you realize. I say it every week, but someone always... and you're like, and it looks very rude on camera, you know, what's that guy doing? It's like, it's a microphone. So you just bring it closer to your mouth, right? And we'll get to you. So so one thing, again, you know, for the organizers to look at is, so how is it that maybe you can get people together that maybe live here or are in this area to keep in touch after the conference is finished? And that might be a dinner the day after. It might be a WhatsApp group that people keep in touch with each other. And when they're maybe in Jakarta, we catch up with someone in Jakarta. When they're in Banyuwangi, we catch up with someone in Banyuwangi. So it's a way to keep this going and create that community feel around those who are participating. Love it. Thank you very much, Brother Oki.
I think I share a very similar spirit with what Andrew was saying. You know, I go to different conferences and threat expos and this and that, and that was actually one motivation for me to a bit more active on my own event, Oki's Gathering. Because that's actually the spirit of that, you know. Like I go to different conferences or different bilateral meetings between the two countries and everything, but everything was so formal. You're actually creating walls, and when you're a bit drunk, you know, like you become a bit more of yourself. So the reception.
SpeakuP Monday does not agree with what Oki's saying right now. We don't believe in alcohol. We never drunk. Everything is by the line. Authorities are watching the movie.
So with those dinner and drinks, you become a bit more open to your counterparts, and actually, that's where the deal happens.
Got it.
The deal doesn't happen in the meeting room. Yeah. But it's outside the meeting. It's outside the conferences. It's in the dinner table or it's in the bar. That's where you cut the deal. The last conference I went was last November. So there was a conference in KL. It's called Heart Conference. And people from all over the world, from Peru. It was one of the topic was indigenous people. So we got people from the Maasai tribe, from, I forgot, the Peruvian tribe, I forgot, and then there are some other people from all over the world. So after scanning the crowd during the formal events, I was like, okay, maybe I can connect to 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like connecting. How about drinks out tonight? It's like, okay. So 4 of us or 5 of us went out for drinks. So I'm going to Kenya to visit Nelson. He's one of the head tribe of Maasai in over there. Yeah. By the way, just to give you a little inside information, Air Asia just opened a direct flight from Kuala Lumpur to Nairobi. Direct flight from Kuala Lumpur to Nairobi. I think it was like $300 round trip.
Wow.
So it's a very interesting, and then from here to Kuala Lumpur is not too far, right? But it's very, very interesting. Kuala Lumpur, Nairobi direct, $300 round trip.
You know, this reminds me of another question real quick, actually, because you're perfectly placed. Where would you say Indonesia stands as a general overview, right? Oceans. Where does Indonesia stand in terms of its development of this whole industry? Because we spoke a long time ago about marinas.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I remember you were informing me about what's happening there.
Correct.
And it's another industry which is $1 billion industry plus.
Correct.
Right? Being that Indonesia is the largest archipelago in the world, the second largest coastline behind Canada, right?
Yeah.
In the world. It's a huge potential. The most beautiful country in the world was voted. 17,000 plus islands and so on, right?
Correct.
So, and I'll go to you after with this one too, Andrew. So, what is your view on the future of, firstly, where Indonesia stands now, where the future is going, and what needs to happen to empower that future?
Indonesia is the largest archipelago country in the world. We have 17,000 islands. Only 5 private marinas. 5 private marinas all over Indonesia. Batam, Banyuwangi, there's one in Bali, there's one in Lombok, Gili Gede, and they're building Banyuwangi, they're building Rote, they're building in a couple of others. But the potential for marina or marine tourism based business is so big. Right now, if you go a bit east of Bali, there's an island called Flores. So there's one destination that the government was wanting to develop as a sort of like a high-end tourism destination, a place called Labuan Bajo. In this place, they have about 140 islands around the neighborhood. And what they do is they do island hopping on the boat with the Indonesian traditional boat. Indonesia has this one tribe called Bajo tribe. So they live on the water, and they build boats. And the boats sail as far as Madagascar, and so you can see the traces of Indonesians way long time ago. They go all the way to Africa, go here and there, like all over the place with these boats. So I think right now Indonesia is one of the very few, if it's not the only one, that is still able to build traditional wooden boat, like the Vikings in Sweden or in Norway also, they built wooden boats, but it's no longer financially visible for them to build one.
Yeah.
But in Indonesia, it's still visible, and they use it for marine-based tourism. So in Labuan Bajo, they rent these boats, and I'm talking about very luxurious boat of $20,000-$25,000 per night kind of boat. So this is like a high-end tourism. So the opportunity for doing this island hopping in a tropical equator country kind of thing, doing diving, marine research and stuff like that, is still available. It's still very big in Indonesia. The marina, 5 out of potentially you should have at least 100, for example. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Same question to you, Andrew, and then we'll go to questions here. So the question is, now remember, this is all about your opinion, right? SpeakuP Monday does not condone it. No, it's all your opinion. So from your view of your industry, where do you see the opportunities? Maybe some of the obstacles, if you can talk about those, and what is needed to get there? What's that missing link, if there is a link that's missing?
Yeah, well, I think anyone who engages in marine tourism. They do it because they love the ocean, right? And so, but I think we're now in an era where we know that any activity we engage in is going to have some sort of negative impact. So I think as we become very aware of that, people want to be able to enjoy the marine ecosystems, like go see mantas at Manta Point and do these sort of things, but they understand that anything that they're doing has an impact. So there's an opportunity to actually provide experiences where people can also give back as well. So that's, I see there's a huge potential. It works for the sort of model that we've put together, and lots of people are excited and come back year after year and want to take part in it. And so there's a huge opportunity for Indonesia's massive, right? And there's a lot of also impacts and reefs that need to be restored, mangroves that need to be restored, these sort of things. So, and I think there's so many willing people. Like everyone who comes to Bali is willing to wants to help. They see that there is problems, and so if there's the opportunity to help, they're going to jump on board and help. So providing those opportunities for people.
Thank you. Please, Oki, you want to chime in? Yeah.
So it's very interesting what you said, Andrew. So people would like to go diving and explore these islands, and they also realize that there's impacts when they do it, right? Because when the boat sails, it leaves traces of oil along the way, right? And sometimes by accident, some plastic bottles coming out of the boat or something like that. There is a company run by a British lady based in Sanur called ID Guides. ID Guides. It's a trekking company. So what they do is, let's say you want to go trek to Mount Batur. So the company already provides the guide for you to go up to the Mount Batur, or they have tracks all over Bali. They develop like 320 kilometers of trekking routes all over Bali, and they train the people in each banjar to become the certified guides or people who do the treks. So what they do is, you can actually do trekking yourself, but you don't know the roads, you don't know the thing, and as you walk through the treks, you need support system. Let's say you want to go to the toilet, you want to eat, or you want to drink, and so there's got to be some warung somewhere. But this warung is not sustainable because there's not many people going through the tracks, right? So they will go bankrupt. So what the company does, so they charge a little bit of premium on their ticket, on their guide's tickets when you register, and they split the money to the guides, to the banjar that they go, and they also subsidize some of the warung along the way, so they can still be there even there is nobody going there. So you still needs to be open. So part of the ticket price is actually distributed throughout the whole ecosystem. So it's a very interesting model, and I think you should talk to her on developing some models to offset the impact of those people who wants to do the thing. So because it's already been done, the lady's name is KK, so she's the one who runs the thing.
Thank you, my brother. Now, quick questions, anybody? So we're going towards the end of the show, but we're happy to have questions. So, Brother Guzman, that microphone there. Yeah. So remember, the microphone's close to your mouth, and just over here goes. Yeah, and what will happen is that it will take a second or so while Guzman mics it up. Just before we do that, for those watching, Bali Ocean Days, as you know, is an event created in partnership with the former Coordinating Ministry for Marine and Investment Affairs and the Archipelagic and Island States Forum. It's organized by Sky Blue Sea Foundation and Dharma One and Associates, sponsored by PT Pertamina Persero, featuring its new and renewable energy subholding. Now, the media group is an official media partner, and through Metro TV, Media Indonesia, and Medcom.id. Yes. So, my dear, you have a question.
Of course, I don't know a lot about your company yet because I just came here to learn about it. But I just wanted to ask, let's say there's a company in the future that is really into sustainability and want to kind of be that interlink, if that makes sense, the one that like let's say there's a company, they're like, oh, I want to partner this with this, with this, with this. So let's say we have customers that want to get to know more how to help the environment, how to help, restore coral reefs. Do you already have an opportunity for partnerships in that way? Like where companies could be like, oh, if you partner up with us with this, there's, I don't know, like we pay you this amount and then we can have people to come to you, or does that make sense? Kind of like in that partnership, do you have that already, or there's like room for that?
Possibly. Like we're always open to like new ideas and whatnot, but we do, if what you're talking about is sort of programs where there's like a school group or a office group or something that wants to come out and participate in an event, we do plan like, and they contact us and say, okay, we want to do a weekend coral restoration sort of program. We do like with accommodation, with transport to the island, put together the whole package and whatnot. So we do packages that way for groups of various sizes, from sort of school groups to adults to businesses and whatnot. Okay. Is that kind of what you were asking, or like different
similar,
sorts of...
but also like for example, like you mentioned, also the business model has to be financially, sustainable in the future. Let's say that the company itself also wants to partner up with you, like they pay you this amount or you pay that amount. So whenever they do have customers, they do like communicate and also commercialize like, hey, this is something that's possible, if that makes sense. So not only like, oh, we have a group that want to do it, but literally in the company itself, hey, we have this, you can do that. So it's like they open that opportunity for you, and in that way you have like kind of an intertwined with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, sort of like a booking agent, or like...
Not really a booking agent. Like, it could be like that, but more of like a place where they have all different types of companies that want to make an impact in the world.
Oh, okay.
And then you can kind of see like, hey, we partner up with this company, with this company, with this company. And let's say if we do partner up with you, then there's like support in each other and like how to make that run smoother, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, and because we're willing to partner, if there's companies that want to sort of increase their sort of social impact or environmental sort of impact. Absolutely. We can, right now, sort of we're on an individual by individual basis. So we have had companies approach us and been like, we want to sponsor X number square meters of you guys restoring coral reef. So we'll work out with them how much it's going to cost and like the deliverables so that they can see what we're doing. So we've on a sort of individual by individual basis, we've worked together that way. But I think it is a good idea, like what you're saying, is like have some sort of like collaboration merger. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah. You want to? No. Yep. Over to you, my dear. Yeah.
Just to comment on that, I can help you cook up the model.
Okay.
That's what I do. That's what we do.
All right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So just come to think of it. So your model, since you already have this ecotourism going on, so that's your model.
Yeah.
So you boost up your ecotourism business, and then plunge part of the profit for the coral restoration, and some of the profits to grow the business, right?
Which is what we are doing. That's what's paying most of the coral restoration. And now we're sort of like, okay, well, how can we go from just like our own sort of tourism profits going to support restoration, but actually like expand our efforts bigger and bigger? Yeah. All right.
There's 2 deals already, right? Yeah. No, there is. But I just two deals. You got a business coach here, to work out the model, and then obviously you've got Bali Investment Club that really want to help you with the scholarship. This is great. I was joking.
Hello. Yeah. My name is Shirley. Yeah. I want to ask Pauki. Yeah. You've been in Bali Ocean days, right? And I had a question. What do you think is our potential, or what do you know Maratua Island?
I've heard about Maratua Island. Was it
It's Borneo. Where
it's Borneo, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we call it the Maldives of Indonesia. Even Pak Sandiaga Uno coming before. So it's like, I built the school in there. foundation teach the kids for speak English for free. And on your perspective, because the goal is this foundation is sustainable, and I just want input. It's like how to, because they're living in this little island, beautiful, and foreigner take it. Sometimes they sell it. The land is 1 hectare for less than $100. So it's like the point is like I just try give helping education my region is because I'm from Borneo, and is I do have an input because I've been we doing the education in there for 4 years. We have a student like 150 student now to teach them. It's gonna be long project.
Yes.
But it's, I will love to more input with from you.
Yeah, basically just like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Wait for the Bible. So we need to create a business that is financially sounding to support the school. Right, to support the school, because the school, I assume the kids doesn't have enough income to pay for the school, or the government, I don't know what the government is doing in that area, but the idea is how do we create a business just like your eco resort projects, right, that creates revenue and profits, where the profits can be used to run the impact projects around the area. So basically, so you need to have like a money making business to do that, because if you are relying only on donation or donors, look how many NGOs died during the pandemic because the donor stops doing the thing, right? But if it's a business, that, I mean, there are also some businesses died during the pandemic, but at least they can self-sustain. So, but to do that, we need to sit down and have coffee together. More than happy to do that.
The goal is like to build a hydroponic, because the goal is to build a hydroponic because we have so many islands. Sometimes they don't have a fresh soil. So it's like that's the goal.
Oh, that's already a good. That's already something that they already know that what the island needs, and it's an opportunity for them. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like because they say Maldives of Indonesia. So
yes, Maratu Island. I heard about that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Very well. So remember to follow up. Yeah. He offered his time.
No.
Right. Any other questions? Anybody? Yeah. Over here. Yeah. So stretch it. There he goes. All right.
Great, thank you a lot for your talk. I really enjoyed to see your development and your success you were already gaining, and I think you bring in a lot of value into like the world and through your project. And I do run the HP. It's like a 200-hour teacher training for people who want to learn on how to work sensitive and learn also on how to do the first online course and sell better and all of that. And then secondly, I built an institute, and I considered to, create an investment fund for people who are not able to, invest into the learnings and into, the living and all of that. And I'm very curious to learn more about how you were actually creating all of that, right? So how did you were setting up the first, the first part of, what you truly want to, the funding, and how you give your prospects then the right funding in a way?
Okay. Well, when we started the company, we had a mission already that we want to focus on these three areas, because there are so many problems, but you got to pick your wars, you got to pick your fight, which you cannot fight. You cannot solve every problems in the world. Like you're focusing on a marine restoration, and somebody focusing on, like our friend Michael, Plastic Angels. He's focusing on education of this waste pickers of Suwung, the kids of the Suwung waste pickers. So he's focusing on giving education to those kids, the Plastic Angels people, which we support. Ragam Foundation also empowering people in that neighborhood by providing lunch every day, hundreds or thousands of lunch every day to these guys. But again, those are based on donations. So these are very critical. I mean, I'm not saying that a lot of people doesn't want to donate. There's still a lot of people wants to donate, but you need to create like a business model. So basically, you have to have a mission. You have to have a mission. What problems that you want to solve. Then you put the whole thing together, and then you pitch. I think one of my strengths is I have a lot of friends. So for me to pitch one idea to thousands of people, very easy, like Robert also, boom. And 1, 5, or 10 out of 2,000 people will respond. And like if the idea was very solid, then they will bite right away. Like for example, right now I'm helping this guy, Swedish guy. His name is John. I forgot his last name. Very interesting. I was introduced by Patrick. So he came to Bali about 12 years ago, and he is based in Praranano, Canggu for a while, and then he surfed, so he goes to Uluwatu many times. But he found a problem, as the pandemic ends, it takes 2 hours from Canggu to Uluwatu. So he was thinking like, hey, why don't I talk to some of the fishermen in Uluwatu or in Canggu, and then we do a boat ride from Canggu to Uluwatu. So he started a company called GoBoat.id.
I know John.
Yeah. So John, instead of driving from Canggu to Uluwatu takes 2 hours, John set up this company, buy a boat, hire some captain. The boat is, by the way, it's a fishing boat, so it's like the one with the jungkung. But he put two motors in the back, so it's like always two. So because if one failed, then you don't get stuck in the ocean. And then started the service 2 years ago. Today, John has one boat, 10 trips a day. This one boat does 10 trips. He created a website called GoBoat.id, and then he worked together with the Blue Express, selling their tickets, selling the other boat companies' ticket from Serangan to Lembongan, from Sanur to Nusa Penida. So his company is doing 370 trips a day, 10 from his own boat, 360 from somebody else's boat. Doing billions of rupiahs revenue and already profitable within 2 years. And then he came to me of a recommendation of our friend also. Yeah. Pak Oki, I want to exit. Can you help me? It's like, of course. I like the idea. So when the idea was legit, people will buy it. So I posted in my last post, boom, GoBoat.id, people click on it, and the value proposition was very simple. 2 hours from Canggu to Uluwatu, now with GoBoat 35 minutes. About 5 people. Okay, I'm very interested. Can we have a meeting?
Great. So you started everything when 5 people were in need, and you decided to, okay, now we can share the investment funds, right?
Yes.
So you were doing everything from your own revenue, like making the money and then saying, well, with the income I gained, with the profit I made, I now decide to share that. Is that right? Or did you were doing corporations or?
Oh, we have a company.
Else?
Bali Investment Club is a company. We are doing what we call an angel club right now. So basically the investment is directly into each of these companies, and we charge to our investor, and we also charge to the investee company. So we're a combination between angel club, venture builder, and also like a VC, like a venture capital. So it's a very unique positioning. Yeah.
So what is exactly the process you support in that? That's the last question. Like, what do you, what's the guidance?
Yeah,
like,
that's a long
is
process.
it marketing, or what exactly do you support?
It's legal, definitely, number one. You have to comply with the regulation. Remember, a lot of people, especially foreigner, when they come here, they set up a company. or they do nominees. They buy land. Foreigner cannot buy land. Oh, brother, can I buy the land under your name? We shake hand, brother. And then, knock on wood, the brother passed away. So the wife see a certificate, like, okay, we sell it, bam, because it's under his name. And the brother doesn't know that, the wife never knew that deal. And I have so many people in this situation. So everything has to be very formal, legit. Where are you from, by the way?
Oh, Germany.
Germany. Imagine if you do it in Germany, how rigid the regulation is. Indonesia is actually the same, but a lot of people underestimate the compliance side because as an Indonesian, we are very easygoing, not like the German, right? Indonesians, we are too easygoing sometimes. So because we are too easygoing, people think the regulations and the law is also can be quote unquote easygoing. Look what happened to our friend in Ubud a couple of days ago, and because our bureaucracy is also slow, it takes sometimes before they make a call. Only after millions of dollars being built, only then the letter is like, okay, let's knock this down, or so that's why you have to do comply and stuff like that. So again, we can sit down and have coffee on that.
I would love to, though. Really interesting.
Okay, so look, I think that the heavens are saying we're thinking about raining, so it's probably good timing. So we're going to begin to wrap up the show now, and the way we're going to do it is that I'll speak for a little bit, and then I'll go to you, Andrew, and then I'll finish it. Or maybe it's Oki, then he has a microphone. Oki, then we'll finish with you, Andrew. And the question is, Bali Ocean Days, right?
Yes.
February 7th and 8th, Intercontinental Bali, right? Tickets still available, a few left. So, in closing, is there anything that you'd like to say? And it can be reiterating something that you've said already, right? But please also put the name of your company in there, so if people want to know more about you and your company and what it does, they know how, where to go, website, Instagram, and so on. Same to you, my brother Oki, as well, all right? That will be in about 2 minutes' time. Oki and Andrew. Okay, so everybody here, thank you again. Tropical Nomad, we have Guzman and we have Brother Hadis. Thank you very much indeed. Episode 458. I didn't do an intro for me, but by now you know who I am. Robert Ian Bonnick, Gateway to Indonesia, and founder of SpeakuP Monday, Destination Indonesia. And I'd like to thank the audience. Thank you for coming. Some beautiful women tonight as well. Mamma mia. I guess that's the ones who are driving the ocean movement. It's a feminine, right? Interestingly enough, but masculine up here. So interesting thing to spot. So like I said before, it's really important, right? So this Bali Ocean Days, the second one coming up, really has gone from strength to strength. So you have some of the best professional companies, governments, authorities in the world flying in for this conference. From Indonesia, from Jakarta, from Bali, you have some of the most senior government officials which are coming in person to speak. Right? And as Oki just mentioned, the beautiful thing about Indonesia is that it's informal, right? Even though it's formal, it's informal. People are relaxed. So you actually get a chance to speak to the CEO of Ocean X, Vincent, right? I mean, whereas to book this appointment with this guy in the US, you wouldn't get there. You'd have to go through layers and layers and layers and layers of people. But he's going to be there in person. And this is the same with some of the biggest sponsors in Indonesia, Pertamina and so on. So really, if it is something that interests you, the ocean ecosystem, and it should, because it governs all of what we're doing here on the land, it covers a lot more. There's a lot more ocean in the world than there is land. Let's put it like that. So Ocean or Bali Ocean Days, and you'll get there via Instagram, website as well. And the details are there about how to book a a ticket. And as I mentioned before, I think there's 1 or 2 tables left where you can bring together your organization, up to 9, 10 people on one table. So that's really good value or incredible value as well. So I'll leave that to you. Now, thank you again, Oki, Andrew. Really appreciate you being here. Thanks for making the time. And obviously Pascal and Yoko who are watching this, thank you very much indeed. Looking forward to seeing you very soon. So last words from Oki, then from Andrew, and then we'll wrap the show.
What was the question again?
Yeah. So the question is, anything that you'd like to reiterate in the context of we're here for Bali Ocean Days, and feel free to remind people, for you, Bali Investment Club, how to contact and so on.
Well, Bali Ocean Days, I think it's a very significant event that Indonesia's development plan has been inland, coming into in the toll roads, cars, motorcycle. By the way, we have about 110 million motorcycle driver's license. Just to give you an idea how inland our development is. We are not really been exposed to a lot of ocean or sea-based, marine-based policies in Indonesia. In fact, 2/3 of Indonesia are oceans, are seas. Yeah. So this has been one area that we have been neglecting. And in Indonesia, I don't know if you're aware, we're actually an ocean people, like the Bajau. In fact, every kids in Indonesia, every Indonesian kids knows this song. Nenek moyangku seorang pelaut. Our ancestors are seamen. So, but the sea culture has not really been there. So with Bali Ocean Days, I think it will be. I hope it will open up a lot of opportunities and attention within this almost forgotten area. That is the development of marine-based tourism, marine-based infrastructure, and conservation and things like that will be more exposed and opening up more for in the future.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Over to you now, brother Andrew. You see, you're now brother. That's how it works here.
Thank you. Yeah, for Bali Ocean Days, I think it'll be a great opportunity for people, like individuals and groups, to see what sort of opportunities there is for participating in some of these environmental projects like coral restoration. But then, hopefully the networking opportunities of how can we actually move then to the next level of engaging with biodiversity offsets to actually expand some of these restoration projects to make them bigger and go to more areas and train the personnel, the practitioners that will be able to lead these projects with proper scientific methods so that they're actually restoring ecosystems. So yeah, I think it'll be good. And to contact us for Blue Corner, bluecorner.org or bluecornerconservation.org is our website, and social media, Blue Corner Conservation.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Round of applause. Bali Ocean Days, February 7th and 8th. We'll see you there. Thank you very much. Okay, a quick photo.